We change out of our suits and meet Luke at the commercial kitchen and ferment, 3, 4 nights a week from 7 p.m. till the wee hours in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning.
Hello and welcome to Starting Small. My name is Cameron Nagle, and what you're about to hear is a resilient story to an entrepreneur's journey over the brand that we know and consume today. At Starting Small, I believe that everyone has a story to tell under one philosophy. Everyone starts small. Even these founders have once started where you are, in their parents' kitchen, basement, out of a wagon, and many more. At Starting Small, we discuss the strategies used, the obstacles overcome, and the successes of an entrepreneur's journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Starting Small, and make sure to leave a review to let us know how you enjoyed it. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Starting Small. Today, I'm joined by Mac Anderson of Cleveland Kitchen. Mac, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, Cameron. Great to be here.
Of course. Well, I would like to start out with your upbringing. Where did you grow up, and what would you say your childhood was like?
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up on the east side of Cleveland here in Shaker Heights, Ohio. Had a pretty great upbringing. It's a very diverse and unique suburb with a lot of great food, and a lot of that was by design from my mother. She's a trained chef and biologist, and always sought out the best ingredients for her family, both as she knew they were better for us biologically, but also as a chef, she just wanted the fresh, delicious ingredients for her meals. And so she would drag my brother, myself, our older sister out to farm country here in Ohio, which is at least an hour outside of Cleveland. She quickly tired of that and dragging us kids out there. And in 1995, when I was about 4 years old, started the nonprofit network of farmers markets in Cleveland, North Union Farmers Market. So from about 4 years old on, child labor laws aside, as I like to say, myself, my brother, and my sister were out there helping. There's a lot of produce for farmers, working with farmers each and every Saturday morning, and really seeing small business ecosystem thrive. A farm to table movement really come to fruition here in Cleveland. And an understanding and respect for growers and for food entrepreneurs. So it was definitely a big part of our childhood, alongside, just running around playing as children.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say that you had an entrepreneurial mindset growing up, say, helping out with your mom or lemonade stand, selling products, anything like that?
Yeah. My mother likes to tell a story that I think it was right around the same age. Maybe I got it from the hawkers at the market, but one Christmas after Christmas morning, I think it was any of the toys that I really didn't love, or just a couple extra things that I had, I set up a table and was selling them to my friends. So it started at a very early age. And then in middle school, my brother had started playing. My brother's 4 years my senior, had started playing paintball in and around. And I quickly discovered in 7th grade that I took apart one of the paintball guns and started selling it for parts on an online forum that I saw him frequent a lot. And then that kind of snowballed into basically anything that wasn't nailed down in my house, any used electronics or something I can get my hands on. So built a little business one summer, and was running downtown as a 12-year-old on the RTA here in Cleveland, cashing checks, getting money orders, and building a small business. And then quickly led into a vintage hat business in college. I found a plethora of authentic vintage snapbacks in Detroit and Mexico City, Mexican town, and started selling them online. So yeah, I always had a penchant for selling and finding value, and stuck with me. It was always fun for me.
Wow, very cool. I saw you ended up studying at Miami University. What did you end up studying there? And then also kind of bringing the hats that you mentioned. How did that intertwine with your school as well?
Ended up coming back to Cleveland, working a few side jobs, and then going back to Miami School of Business. So studied economics there, and was very excited to be at a great business school and around a lot of friends, and it was a great experience. I'm now very involved with their entrepreneurship program, but I can't say back in school that I fully realized it was just more spitballing ideas and pursuing things like my hat business with friends.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so in Detroit, both my parents are from Detroit, so I was with cousins after spending the night in the city, going out one day, and I just noticed my one cousin had a really sick Pistons hat, a pretty vintage, cool cap, and I said, "Hey man, where'd you get that?" And he said, "On your way back to school, I'll take you by. It's this great corner store in Mexican town. They have all these awesome hats." And I quickly realized that as I picked up one, two, three, the price continued to go down. So we
Mm.
ended up buying them out. I think we told them we had a school play. We were in the drama club because they started to get wise. They're like, "Are these worth a lot of money or something?" And ended up, I think, netting out at about just over $1 per hat.
Wow.
And I was going back to a small dorm room, of course. So I had my cousin kind of warehouse them, take photos, and I set up our eBay page, our Facebook page for authentic vintage caps. And yeah, we got to selling them from there. So netted out, several thousand in profit. I think that
Wow.
the most expensive hat I sold was like $130 for a 49ers hat. Sold Notre Dame Fighting Irish hat out to Germany. So yeah, it was pretty cool little experience. Good
Wow.
experience as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Finishing up at Miami, did you end up having a job outside of school? Or I know Cleveland Kitchen comes in right into play right at this time. Did you end up interning or do anything else in this time period?
Yeah, absolutely. So the farmers market was always, my mom still is the executive director. There's about 14 markets
Mhm.
today. So that was always our summer and weekend job. No
Yeah.
matter where we were in the intern world, we were always waking up at 5 a.m. on Saturdays and helping
Mm.
manage those markets. But I did intern at Jones Day, a large multinational law firm for, gosh, I was there for one summer, and then they made me a full-time employee, even though I was at school and was helping out with in the finance department. I led the fixed asset overhaul of all 46 offices
Wow.
before I graduated college, and then I was there for a bit afterwards. I had some great mentors there. One of whom is actually one of our larger individual investors from early on. But he would take me out, every couple of weeks with several other partners, and um, I think they were definitely, hoping I would join the firm. But they sat me down and said, "Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?" And I think my response was as a client on the business side. So I think they quickly
Yeah.
knew that I didn't want to go back to school and get a JD. After that, I did get a Series 7 license and was managing portfolios for young professional friends for a lot of the young associates that I work with at Jones Day. And
Mhm.
that also allowed me to kind of have more flexibility as we started the business to go out and make customer calls and just smile and dial on the grocery side as well.
Wow. How long did you end up staying on that side and then until this time period before the Cleveland Kitchen and then kind of intertwined into that time?
Yeah, so was at the law firm for about 3.5 years total,
Mhm.
and then was in portfolio management for just about a year. I think when
Right.
I was pitching our first grocery store locally here, Heinen's, it's a great 24 store chain. I believe my colleagues thought that I was selling them on a group benefits policy, but instead I was selling them sauerkraut.
Amazing. To the listeners out there who aren't aware, can you kind of describe the inspiration into Cleveland Clinic, into fermented foods specifically?
Yeah, so Cleveland Kitchen did start as Cleveland Kraut.
Mhm.
Um, Anyone from, a lot of the Midwest has great pockets of Eastern European heritage. If you're from Cleveland, it's not necessarily my background, but if you are from Cleveland, kind of classic Eastern European food, pierogi, kielbasi, sauerkraut tends to be a great staple, a comfort food for us here.
Mhm.
And so that always, was around growing up. My brother was based in Richmond, Virginia. After college, he studied business statistics and ended up in banking in the Southeast. And he could get, great barbecue, good soul food, but he couldn't quite get that traditional Cleveland fare, that comfort
Mm.
food of sauerkraut, kielbasi, pierogi. So he's making all those things in his apartment and just really kind of fell in love with the art of fermentation, with chopping up fresh vegetables, adding salt, spices, other vegetables, and seeing what came out a couple weeks later, and really enjoyed the way it made him feel. He did
Mm.
move back to work for Key Bank here in Cleveland, headquartered here, and was kind of fermenting here and there as a hobby as well. Started to get to know my sister's, longtime boyfriend at the time, Luke. Over beers as future brother-in-laws do, and they found out that Luke was also fermenting sauerkraut, and he did have, very, very much the German Croatian heritage. So they were trading tips, and actually I was wrapping on my senior year at Miami, and they were teaching me how to ferment. Kind of when I came back, and over the phone, I'd call them for tips. My buddies, my housemates were wondering what was going on in the kitchen, what that smell was, and what the heck I was doing. But, they loved the great flavor and the crunch, especially we were doing barbecues, and it was a nice break from our traditional college diet that wasn't probably as good.
For sure.
And so that kind of led us into, we knew I'd come back and was, at the law firm, and we knew we could test the idea. We'd always wanted to be, my brother and I, especially in business together. Luke, our brother-in-law and co-founder, Luke Visnick, he was an architect at the time, and still holds his licenses. But we decided, hey, let's check out the farmers market. We've seen businesses do this for decades. So Drew would pick me up. We were both downtown. We change out of our suits and meet Luke at the commercial kitchen and ferment, 3-4 nights a week from 7 p.m. till the wee hours of the morning, 2-3 in the morning, a few nights a week. And then we go sell on the weekends at any market we could get to, at least 2 to 4 a weekend. And what kept us going in this time of, heavy hustle and just a little less sleep than we were used to was the fact that we were really able to get product market fit to refine our recipes and to get that feedback from consumers directly at the market that, it wasn't just being placed on hot dogs or Reubens a few times a season, but folks kept coming back for their favorites, for new flavors every week because, just like we were doing, they were eating it on eggs, salads, wraps, avocado toast, rice dishes, fish tacos. The usage occasion was really going beyond a traditional sauerkraut and more towards, a fresh fermented vegetable that had great flavor and probiotic benefit. And so that really excited us and allowed us to have the confidence to kind of all quit our jobs. We knew that, we were professionals. We went and found a job before. If anything happened, we could always come back. And so we poured our meager savings into a small facility in Cleveland, and my brother, as I mentioned, was an architect, so he kind of sketched out and built out our first facility, about 1,200 square feet. I still can't believe when we went to close down our sublease a couple of years ago how small it was. But yeah, we got luckily some crazy and maybe forward-thinking investors at the time to come in with us and launched into our local retailer after about a year and a half in farmers markets. So late 2015, launched with Heinz, Giant Eagle, Marks, a lot of our local great retailers. Whole Foods locally here wasn't too far behind, and today, we've grown out our product offering. We evolved into Cleveland Kitchen, so we are the leading fermented foods platform in the nation, and so we lead the category in kraut and kimchi, and we're currently building some fantastic products on the lightly fermented pickled side and the fermented dressing side. So really excited to bring it here, and as a Cleveland kid, to be able to have that impact on employing a lot of folks here and spreading that name nationally has been pretty cool.
Amazing. I'd love to hear about some of like the R&D process. So if a customer, I love that you were able to go to the markets for so long, get that direct feedback. If someone requests a new flavor or you guys are exploring a new flavor option, what does that look like from your POV in the kitchen?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, being brought up in a very culinary household, we were all definitely home chefs. My brother is, I'll admit it, he's a better chef than me, but he took a lot of passion to it. So he and Luke's heritage led to our more traditional recipes. But but he and Luke will definitely work together both on the production side of, what makes the most sense for how we can scale this product when it does
Hmm.
um, get into stores. But on the flavor side, I think that's definitely been my brother. We've been able to build a great R&D team around us. But
Yeah.
for instance, our kimchi product is great. The other piece that comes in real handy is being from a very culinary family. My mother forged a ton of relationships with local chefs by being that farm to table source,
Mm.
as well as just kind of having a real interest for the space. She would take us, all over the place in Cleveland. We've got a fantastic Asia town, and we were going to Korea House, in my opinion, the best Korean barbecue in Cleveland you could get, which is a great family owned operation. And since I was a kid. And so when we were developing our kimchi, we knew we had kind of parameters we needed it to be. We wanted it to be vegan, so very accessible to a good core audience of ours that is fully plant-based,
Hmm.
as well as kind of fall within, what we do work with on growers, which is traditional green cabbage. And so knowing those parameters, we had kind of a taste profile we wanted to go towards, but we decided, hey, let's go talk to our friends at Korea House.
Mm.
Um, in Asia Town here in Cleveland. And so we worked together. We had them on as paid consultants, and they helped us just really refine the recipe, bring some authentic Korean flavors. They are South Korean, born and raised, and moved to Cleveland throughout their lifetimes. But it was really cool to not only be able to work with the local Cleveland business, but now we actually just in our last Nielsen data poll did take the number one SKU nationally in all of kimchi in less than 2 years on shelf. So
Wow.
for to have played a role in that, and for, when we launched, we did obviously big PR pushes, and a lot of them did highlight Korea House. So it was cool to be able to highlight some great local chefs. But yeah, I'd say we work with our own culinary background and then bring chefs in for feedback and as consultants, and now we do have a fantastic team, specifically Josefa, who runs our R&D and a lot of our operations out at our West plant,
Wow.
is really strong in that area. So
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. I'm sure in the early days you were sourcing locally. What does sourcing look like today? Are you guys sourcing still in Ohio, or what does that look like?
yeah, absolutely, we do try as best we can to get everything locally. So
Yeah.
from our pouches to, our fresh chopped vegetables, those are all from local vendors. Our pouches are actually manufactured right here just outside of Cleveland, so we really reduce our carbon impact in that sense. But yeah, our cabbage in season is directly from Ohio farms, typically Northwest Ohio up near Toledo. But we
Mhm.
work with a great partner who actually invested in us pretty early on, but cabbaging. So they are the second largest cooperative of cabbage farmers in the nation. So that's small family farms,
Wow.
basically from Michigan, Ohio, of course, in our season, but we really try and pull from our Ohio farmers all the
Yep.
way down. They follow the seasons down to Florida. So we work with great family farms down in Florida,
Mm.
all winter long. As you can see behind me, I got some snow on the ground back there. So, cabbage definitely isn't coming in here, but we do, they actually core it and clean it right on the field. They're fresh, and we get it the very next day for processing. Today we
Wow.
process upwards of about 50,000 pounds a day, 5 to 6 days a week. So we
Wow.
do get that good stuff coming in fresh.
It's amazing. Yeah, you mentioned some of the PR pushes in the early days. I'm curious, what's the marketing strategy that you guys kind of lean into today, especially for food and beverage CPG brand? What is your main marketing strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like a lot of emerging products or categories that you're trying to kind of bring some life and energy to, it's really about having the consumer understand how good it can be and how
Yeah.
beneficial for you, especially a great healthy product like fermented foods. So not only coming up with the right messaging around that
Mm.
uh, for our PR team to get out there, but also creating, very delicious content that does truly show those usage occasions,
Yeah.
as well as you know points in time and any kind of activation that we can do to get consumers to really try what fresh, crunchy, fermented sauerkraut and kimchi can taste like.
Yeah.
um and so we do that in a number of ways. Obviously, demos, activations, but teaming up with great chefs, and getting on great menus. We work with the likes of PF Chang's and
Wow.
First Watch on national rollouts, because it's really important for us to make sure that every American and middle America understands how good fermented foods can be for you.
Mm.
Uh, Yard House has a great kimchi cheesesteak that they use our goods on, and then a
Wow.
great purveyor here in the Midwest, BB Bop. It's fast casual Asian, kind of Chipotle style.
Wow.
Does leverage our kimchi, so it's really important for us to get the goods out there. We do feel we have the best and freshest tasting in the market, so to really kind of change that consumer perception. We also do work with a ton of dietitians and the health and wellness um, market and industry, and educators, to make sure that consumers are really understanding that yes, you should be eating this every day for your health, and
Mm.
here's all the benefits and what it can truly do for you, whether it's overall digestive health, just total functionality, and really actually making your nutrients and more bioavailable and absorbing those in,
Yep.
as well as there's been links recently with great skincare and depression, fighting with great digestion and
Mm.
probiotics. So there's a lot that we try and do to really educate the consumer. I
Mm.
think if we can get anywhere close to a portion of the way that it's consumed in Central Europe or Korea, Asia, fermented
Mhm.
foods are definitely a part of the center plate every single day.
Mm.
And if we can get the American diet there, we feel that we'll make not only some great strides as a business, but really more importantly, Americans far more healthier. So it's
For
exciting.
sure. Awesome. Taking some of that marketing and some of the feedback, what would you say is the main demographic? I know it's really for all ages. We're trying to push this diet across America, but what would you say from consumers today is the main demographic from purchasing wise?
Yeah, it's definitely a health conscious household,
Yep.
that is, you know, looking to increase, food is medicine. They are
Mm.
looking for benefits beyond just taste and flavor. Um, is a core demographic. A lot of those do happen to be, we're lucky in that we fit across diets, whether it's paleo, keto, flexitarian, or totally vegan.
Mhm.
We can play into those diets. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily focused on any one of those particular diets, but we
Yeah.
definitely index very highly with the plant-based community, being that all of our items are plant-based. We also do have a great demographic in those who seek out delicious, just foodies in general, that
Mhm.
are kind of barbecue heads. They chase after the freshest. What's the local barbecue place you're going to find? What's your favorite craft beer? They're also looking for craft sauerkraut and ferments, which is very cool.
Mm.
But I'd say definitely that core demographic is going to be a health conscious consumer who really cares about what they're putting in their body.
Mm.
It's everyone from the mom who's looking out for their kids and their family's diet and just wants to add some delicious, flavorful but healthy vegetables to that,
Mm.
to your core CrossFitter who kind of wants to have their regimen diet, and when they find a delicious fermented food that they can put on in their meal prep and Sunday,
Yeah.
it helps a lot. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, I like to wrap up each episode with this. If you could share one piece of advice with an aspiring entrepreneur, maybe something you've learned or regret along the way, what would you say that would be?
Yeah, I think really really continue to test and drive data points, whether that's anecdotally from getting to a market
Mhm.
to right away getting any kind of point of sale and direct store data. We were lucky that Heinen's, my buyer, turned around my screen a few weeks after we launched. I went to sell him on a couple new SKUs, and he told me if I had told him we were going to sell as much sauerkraut as we did, he'd probably slap me on the head and send me out of his office in the first meeting. But he turned around the SKU, and I saw all of our national competitors, and we're smoking them in the data.
Wow.
And I asked him if he could send me that, and he did. And so we were able to leverage that as a power slide. And today we obviously work with the likes of Nielsen and Spins to really bring in that full data story and drive on our annual business planning and growth opportunities. But wherever you can drive that data point, wherever you can really talk to your consumer and see understanding how are they consuming it, how are they using it, where are they seeing the benefits as, especially early on, you can really drive towards, once you do land on shelf or start to scale the business, having a great product that keeps consumers coming back week after week.
Amazing. Well, Mac, thank you so much for joining me today. And to the listeners out there, make sure to check out Cleveland Kitchen at clevelandkitchen.com.